Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea. Welcome back to a new HarstemCasts video. Today we're going to be having a look at a game played between Serral on Trap. This game is on Lightshade. We see Trap open up with a quick chrono boost here on the first adept, followed up by a Stargate in the main base. So most likely we'll be heading into a Void Ray opener or an Oracle opener. So both possible still. Warp Gate goes down, and depending on the second unit, we'll be able to figure out what it is. Okay, it seems to be an adept. So will be a Void Ray as the first unit in that case, 95% of the time. It's possible to still go for a Oracle, but it can just easily get scouted by the Overlord, which is something you don't want. Serral manages to get away with this Ling, by the way. He's waiting for this move out of that adept. But as long as he doesn't see an adept show up, I don't think this Ling is going to go in anywhere. Now this Ling might just head home because it's... Well, it could also just stay here to try and figure out what the first unit is going to be. Nexus? No. I was going to say... I thought this was a probe moving towards the Nexus, but it's just an adept moving towards the third base. You could probably guess that this is going to be the base that will be taken here for Trap rather than the line base. As Serral took the forward base himself, this opens up the possibility of a Queen Walk. Queen Walks tend to be relatively powerful. So you want to be taking this base, make it a little bit harder for your opponent to do that Queen Walk and hit super fast. These two adepts are moving in right now, but should not be able to finish this shade. They're gonna finish the shade, and that means that both of these adepts will die a quick but still painful death, being ravaged to pieces by a bunch of Zerg-looking dog units, Zerglings. I think the Chinese actually do call them. Is it? No, Koreans call them the quick dogs, I think. Something like that. I'm not sure if it's the Chinese. It's so sick that all the different languages have like different names. I think it's the Koreans that call them dogs. The dogs attack is what they would say. But I'm not quite sure how often they say that. I remember that. Sometimes when you're like translating their stuff, it's really weird. Maybe like the direct translation is off. Yeah, getting ravaged by the Zerglings, always painful. +1 starts, and so will this second Stargate. So that we have this Oracle looking for a little bit of damage, or perhaps just a little bit of scouting. The triple Queen in the natural, a Serral classic, of course. Spore in the third, Spore in the main. Single Queens over there, triple Queen in the natural, making sure that nothing weird can happen there. Roach Warren is going to be going down, and the lair starts at 450-ish, 445. So a pretty quick lair, not the slowest whatsoever. As Trap, this is super Trap, by the way. Trap has these set patterns that he really likes to follow, and this is one of them. He just loves doing this crap. Now, here he's not going to be able to do it because he doesn't have enough energy to pull that trick one more time. Same time we see some big chrono boost onto this Nexus, and we have extra Void Rays being produced here. No chrono boost on these Void Rays. Not yet, at least. Perhaps in the future. Extra gas is being taken, and at this point I think it's pretty safe to say that Trap knows that there's not going to be some type of Roach Queen all-in coming anytime soon. As the timing for that has passed, the gas going down this late is a little bit of a tell as well. I'd love for him to... Okay, he saw the lair, but he didn't see the Evo chamber. I think those would be like the final nails in the coffin for a potential Queen Roach Wall. Still could be done of like 66, 67 workers, but it is a little bit uncommon. We have an infestation pit on the way here, perhaps to go into that hive. I think he might be going into a hive, actually, yeah. Could also be for Swarm Host, of course. This is a small map, but against double Stargate Void Ray, I tend to not like quick Swarm Hosts too much. We'll see what Serral decides to do. He's increasing his drone count still. It's not taking any extra gases. Going for pneumatized carapace as well, also known as Overlord Speed. While Trap is mainly just focused on not getting scouted, it feels like. These Void Rays haven't done much of anything yet. We now have a Spire on the way. This is going to be what we call the fake hive. This is a very classic trick that a lot of Zergs have been playing. This Spire is actually a little bit late for the trick. Well, I'm not even sure if this is going to be the trick. So this is something that I think Lambo was one of the first to do, at least from what I saw, is where he'd go into a very fast hive while having a semi-hidden Spire, And then as a Protoss, you scout the hive and you go to yourself, oh, that's a hive. I'm going to be preparing for a longer game. You know, you start preparing your crap for later on in the game. You don't want to be getting no phoenixes in that case. And then the Spire produces 15, 16 mutas pretty late into the game. You're going to be in a little bit of trouble. We'll see if that's going to be the case here, as this Spire is about to finish up. There's a crap ton of gas in the bank currently. And Serral is on 8 gas. There's a couple of roaches. You can see his army is actually pretty small. He's getting a Baneling Nest, which is also extremely late for a Baneling Nest. But I don't think it's going to matter, because Serral's playing against someone playing Archon Zealot. Now we'll see if this Spire will be used for Mutalisk, like I kind of hoped, or if this is just going to be for a rapid greater Spire. Carapace upgrade is on the way, so is the second evolution chamber, and we have double disruptor production coming out of Trap here as well. +2 starting about 8 minutes into the game. Isn't the quickest +2, but also isn't the slowest one that I've seen in my life. It's not going to be Mutalisk, no. Instead, we're going to be seeing the Greater Spire starting to evolve here. 71 seconds. Now, I know Serral a little bit. I've played against the guy all my life. At least my adult life, or big parts of my adult life. He's not much of a Broodlord pusher, okay? If this was Bly, and I see a Greater Spire start at the 8-minute mark, I say he's gonna walk across the map, he's gonna try to kill his opponent with 10, 12 queens, 10 Broodlords or so. He's gonna try to just insta-win. For Serral, this never really... Serral doesn't care about winning quickly. Serral cares about not dying, because Serral knows that as long as he isn't dying, he tends to win. He doesn't really lose games when they go longer than 20 minutes, honestly. I wonder if there's any statistics on this. The amount of, like, the win percentage of different players in the late game. I think Serral probably would have one of the highest win percentages out of anyone. He just doesn't lose very much when it goes too late. He really just doesn't. Now, there's a couple of Corruptors on the way right here. Greater Spire is done. And he's gonna morph these into Broodlords most likely. But these are going to be defensive Broodlords. They really are. Yep. Spore Wall going up as well. Now, honestly, if Serral would push at this point, imagine rather than getting these 2 Vipers, he would have gone for, let's say, 4 more Corruptors and 4 more Broods. Okay? He would have 9, maybe 10 Broodlords at this point. He'd absolutely blast his opponent with something like that. Like, it wouldn't even be close. His opponent has nothing. 6 Void Rays for anti-air. Look how quick these Broodlords are out. This was one of the quickest Broodlord rushes, and Serral's gonna use them defensively. I think this might be a weakness. At the same time, I completely respect it as well. If you're so comfortable in the late game, in any situation, why would you risk it? Why would you risk anything? It's like there's a massive timer next to Serral's head, and once that timer hits the 20-minute mark, he's just there to collect his MMR, to collect his prize money, collect his next round in the tournament. He doesn't give a crap. He just wants to not die. And, I mean, staying at home, defending with Broodlords, is a very decent way to not die, but it does produce games that are a little bit more passive. He's just gonna have to be fine with it. I just see absolutely zero way in which Trap would have held a well-timed Broodlord attack. In that case, Serral probably could have pushed out one lane properly, like this could have been over here. Then you have, what, 10, 12 queens? He would have had 15 queens with this push. 10 Broodlords. Even if he would be hitting now, it probably would still work. 3 carriers is not enough. It's really, really sick how confident you have to be to let this type of opportunity just pass you by. I think most players, they would have loved to do something like that. Just a cheeky little push, you know? Especially because, you know, Serral can get the creep where he wants to as well. If he wanted to. He could have. He definitely could have. Now we see an Ultralisk Cavern on the way. We see extra upgrades coming for the ground as well. We already had +1 on range. Now we're going to be going into 2-2 for that Carapace and for the melee upgrade. So Zergling, Ultralisk, just Zergling, Ultralisk. Baneling, of course, as well. Even though I have a feeling we're not going to be seeing too many Baneling run-bys here. Usually the main thing that a Zerg wants to pay attention to is that denial on the 3rd base. If you can get a denial on the 3rd base, that tends to be important. Sorry, the 3rd base, I mean the 5th base. Just had an uneven number in my head. If you can deny the 5th base, the toss will struggle eventually with continuing the game. We have a little bit of a drop here as Trap is trying to make something work, but Look at this. Look at Serral's setup here. Serral actually doesn't give a crap what's happening. He has his spore walls. He's gonna send out like little run-bys to each side all the time. And she's gonna continue spreading creep, building more spores, and just sitting back. And Serral says, alright, I have a lot of time, my friend. I'm younger than you, which is true against most opponents. Which means I have more to live as well. And thus, as you're wasting your life away, a bigger percentage of your life, I'm completely fine. And Serral moves in, sees that there's 2 arcs. This is good control here. This is very nice control. Takes out a battery and doesn't waste these roaches. You could say, well, the roaches at this point in the army are pretty useless. And if you can get any trait, that's a worthwhile trait. But Serral is not in a hurry, like I said. He doesn't care. He can get every single last bit of efficiency out of these units if he pleases to. Because he knows he's not going to die. He has the defensive setup with the spores. He has Vipers ready. Perhaps he's lacking in infestors a little bit. And he doesn't have the long arm of the infestor yet. Also known as the neural parasite. You have Burrow on the way. Anabolic synthesis as well. Increasing the movement speed of the Ultralisk off creep. Yes, I just read that over there. And we have a single Ultralisk. So ideally he'd really actually get rid of these roaches. This is a lot of supply in crap units. But Serral has the confidence in his control that he can not die. And honestly, I have that confidence as well. There's still a lot of disruptors. There's immortals on the ground. And all of these ground units are going to be largely useless against the Brute Lord count that is currently out. Are we on double Spire? We do have double Spire, and we have 2-2 upgrades being researched right now. +3 is on the way here for Trap, who is slowly but surely killing creep tumors a little bit in the close to the center. Maybe he gets a little bit of creep denial here on the right side. He needs to actually take this out. That's going to be a way bigger issue for him. There's a big strip of creep over here. Finally, these roaches will fall. And it's just a question what Serral wants to do right now, yeah? What is the plan here for the Finnish Phenom? What does he want to do? And I think the answer is he wants to take this base and he wants to take this base, and then we have a split map scenario. And once Serral has a split map scenario, he's going to start pushing his creep forward, maybe even start moving his spores forward a little bit. We have Tempest on the way here for Trap as well. Okay. So saying to himself, I want to be going into a completely still mid game and maybe start shooting at spores with my Tempest. Now, the moment that Serral will see that, I think these ultras will start popping into action. It would surprise me if we wouldn't start seeing these pop into action, so to say, as they tend to be quite good, especially when the bases are a little bit more spread out. These Void Rays are looking for a run-by, or in this case, a little bit more of a fly-by. Most likely we'll be able to get that as well. Up, one Void Ray is going to be going down. Immediately we see the response out of Serral though. I'm not sure if he responded to the fact that maybe Corruptors were coming his way, or because he had an Ultra Ravager run by. Ravager's great at taking out static, by the way. Now we have a forced recall because the Corruptors also show up. These Void Rays got their brothers and their friends. They started throwing pebbles at you. You chase this little prick. Then his brother with his friends show up and they have a couple of knives. And you start running again as well. Then you show up and you bring a machine gun and you see who's gonna laugh then. Now, this is my youth in a nutshell. Corruptors will be able to take out both of these Tempests for free. At the same time though, a lot of the queens are getting fat backed. Disruptors are feedbacker. I'm not quite sure what the right way to say that is, but I think feedbacked is correct. Fat backed. We're gonna have another recall. This time it comes from the mothership. It's on the other side of the map, and this might actually be a little bit dangerous. There's no infestor. How did these Vipers? They knew what was happening here. So we could see potential parasitic bombs landing here. Good disruptor shots will take down a couple of these spores as well. But the question here is, was this enough? Overall units lost in favor of Trap. They've lost very little for a 16-minute game. They really have lost very little. We have another Tempest on the way now. After those first two died a pretty useless death over here above the forest. What type of trees are these actually? I have no clue. Look pretty ugly. No offense to the trees. Once again, the Ultralisk and the Ravagers will try to take out a couple of these cannons, and when these guys try something, they usually succeed, and that's also the case this time around. This Ultra only with 7 HP left will need to get transfused up by a couple of queens. I hope they're still around somewhere. Is this queen... Well, come on. Feel it. Yeah, there we go. Might as well just send one transfuse on the other guy. Come on. Come on. Well, these DTs will be able to take out the Ravagers, so that's nice at least for Trap finally gets rid of these Ravagers. We now see the Void Rays being sent towards, well, the bottom side of the map, and a couple of Immortals are also moving towards the bottom side. And maybe together they can actually achieve something. I do like these Void Ray Immortal little run-bys. Sometimes they even get like an Archon or two, or a couple of Templar with it. I think that's actually kind of cool to play like that. That tends to be good. Then you have a big army somewhere else with these carriers as well. And where's the mothership actually? Usually there's a mothership flying around somewhere, getting ready for a potential recall. And that's exactly what's going to be happening here. Potential recall is available. And can be a defensive recall, of course. These are 2 DTs that are getting warped in. Doesn't want to be showing the mothership. No, instead wants to be hiding over here. How does Serral's... So does Serral know it's still here? Now he sees it. Uh-oh. Big fungal, big fungal. Can we get a fungal? Can we get a parabomb? Yes, we're going to get a fungal and a parabomb. And now we get an instant recall. One carrier is... Did that die? No, it stayed... Oh! It died! It died. It definitely did die. Died in the final seconds of that parasitic bomb. Now we have a couple of DTs. Do these have DT blink? I think so, right? Yeah, I saw Shadow Stride being researched. These DTs are going to be going towards the bottom side, trying to take out that... It's the 6th base, actually, and Trap is pulling ahead in bases, doing a fantastic job controlling the pace of this game. No cancel on here either, as these DTs were going ham while another fight was going on. I'm not quite sure what I think of this Disruptor count. It is a very high Disruptor count. I really wonder if he could defend against even a small Broodlord push here. He only has 5 carriers. Now we have an aggressive recall right on top of all of these changelings, but Serral's got completely out of position. Infestors aren't here, Vipers aren't here, and I think Trap might just be able to do a little bit of damage here. There's no Oracle, so he can't see... Oh. No feedbacks. No feed... Oh. There goes the mothership, minus 400, 400. Straight down the drain, a single abduct was all it took. Now we see a couple of more storms basically taking out, well, everything. Or taking out, dealing a lot of damage to everything that actually matters. This is the type of time where you warp in a big round of gateway units. You lose a lot of supply. And then you go for a counterattack with gateway units. The problem is that these days Zergs always have Ultras. So you need to have Immortals or an Archon. Well, actually you need Immortals with this. And then 1 or 2 Archons for tanking as well. So you can take out a lot of spores and a lot of the ground. Very well played by Serral, realizing that rotation was coming. And just taking out the base himself. And still being in time with the defense. Spores are being moved back. And none of these spores are going to really get taken out. This was a big loss here for Trap. Now for 2 reasons. First of all, he lost a decent amount of units. And also he just warped in a lot of units which are practically useless. Yeah, this DT run by is not going to work. Maybe you can actually, revelate that. I was going to say. That's a very nice revelation. I'm very happy with that. These Void Rays are going to be going for run-bys, for little attacks, for little pokes. And Trap's... Wait, he's not actually looking to take this base, is he? That would really surprise me if he's looking to take that base. I don't think he can take that base. I mean, he can try. He can try if he wants to, and he can leave his own side of the map behind, but... If his friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. I don't know. I really quite don't understand what's happening here. The game has sped up a little bit. The pacing is a little bit higher. We have... What is this? What happened? This must have been the DTs, right? Must have been the DTs. DTs went down here. And now Serral is pushing forward with spores. And once Serral gets his spores on your side of the map, oh boy, are you in trouble. His carriers and temps just floating around kind of aimlessly. We have a couple of probes being sacrificed as well now for the greater good. Dumbledore would be proud. And we have the Broodlords rotating towards the bottom side of the map as well. Look at this Void Ray. These run-bys are really good. It's not run-bys, but they're initially there to clean up the overlords. You just always need to be careful. You need to know where the vipers and the corruptors are, because otherwise something like this might happen. And if you're half a second slower, you're going to lose 3 of them because there's 3 vipers. So you always got to be super careful. Same time, these immortals also getting taken out by these ultralisks, where, well, I'm not sure who catches who here. It seems like it's more of a fair trade rather than a catch in any way, shape or form. Once again, these Void Rays will be sent out. And actually, the moment you lose an Overlord there, a new one should be sent out. Instead, he went for Changelings. Also is going to work. Serral sees it and says, okay, you're going to come in again. Good luck, buddy. As I don't... Oh, no, he's actually not going to go there. So he's going to be losing all of these spores. Might even lose this base. Also loses this base. So this was a really good trade here for Trap. Trap saying, hey, wait a second. If I attack 2 sides at the same time, what you gonna do? Now he goes for the recall, but he will lose. Oh my god, only a single Void Ray. That's another good recall here. Where's that Mothership? Mothership is being rebuilt, but it's only halfway done. Well, a little over halfway done. We have another Zealot run by walking into some Fungals. Unit lost step in favor of Serral, but Serral is really struggling taking these bottom bases. However, eventually I think he will be able to take him. Now this is a very good start of a fight here for Serral. Will be able to pick off 1, 2, 3 carriers for practically free. Also will be able to get a lot of these Templar on the low ground. Can Serral just move on here? Can he move through? Can he keep pushing? There's no creep here. There's no spore backup yet. Oh, this is going to be really, really tight. Ultras once again get the correct rotation. And this 7th base is going to fall for a 3rd time. Take a look at the bases lost count we see. Actually, must have been cancelled once or twice then. I know for sure that this is the 3rd time that he moved here. The single next has gone down, 4 hatcheries have gone down. We see 4 carriers dead total as well. And Serral, after seeing this rotation coming in, decides to go back. I don't think he actually needs to defend this side anymore, as all of these bases are pretty much mined out. But the moment you give up this part of the map, attacking over here might just become a lot harder. DT's here taking out this base. It's been 5 base against 6 base for a long time, by the way. Serral being the one on 5 bases. Doesn't really seem to matter too much, as the mining for both players is on a very low worker count. But at this point, I mean, Serral is getting pretty mined out. This gas is almost empty. He actually has no mining. Or almost, he has like 1 base mining. That's it. This is the only base mining at this point. And he has 48 workers. He's going to be going for a push forward. We'll be able to get some damage onto this Nexus with these Broodlings. Oh, this is a very aggressive move here. Trap's gonna be losing 1 of the Void Rays. I think multiple Vipers actually pulled the same Void Ray. It's not quite what you want if you're a Zerg player. It's definitely what you want if you're a Void Ray. And you're not the one getting pulled in by 3 different Vipers. Like different Vipers claiming you to get some abuse from their hands. I don't really like the army comp here out of Trap. He has a lot of Void Rays, which don't actually fight that well against an army like this that has so many spellcasters. He has 4 Disruptors, which are practically useless against the Broodlords. They're good at killing spores. They're not good at killing anything else. There's 2 Immortals and there's 2 Archons. Like, there's really nothing here to deal with the air. There really is nothing here. A good Parasitic Bomb can completely change this fight. First Viper's gonna go down. Second Viper gets feedback. Here comes the Parasitic Bomb and a Fungal on top of that. Yeah, this is the fight I was talking about. I don't think this can end well for Trap, as that Parasitic Bomb is dealing a lot of damage. Another Parasitic Bomb hit, and all of these Void Rays are gonna be going down or falling extremely low. This Void Ray gets teleported home and will still take out one of his friends because the Parasitic Bomb was still active. Absolutely atrocious fight here. God awful for Trap. And we see Trap falling behind way too far at this point. Serral hardly lost anything. He lost a bunch of energy on some units. He lost like 3-4 infestors to a disruptor shot. Same time these ultras weren't even in the fight. They were killing a base. And now Serral has this bottom base set up. He's going to be going for this base as well. We'll start saturating it soon, I can only imagine, as this base is very close to running out. What a absolutely terrible... Well, it wasn't even a terrible engagement. It was as good as you're gonna get with how bad his army was. Trap just constructed an army that sucked. He had a bad army. And it's fine to have a bad army in PvZ as long as you're killing buildings or killing bases with it. Like, bad armies for fighting are often very good for killing outside bases. And now once again Trap is rebuilding a base trady army. The problem is that it's not like there's 7 bases mining at the same time. So the entire focus of Serral can just be on these bottom 2 bases, because that's all that's going to be mining. Serral doesn't need to care about anything else, and now the Stalkers are moving forward. We'll be able to snipe 3 Broodlords for practically free. I think half a Stalker went down over there. 3 Fungals are remaining, 5 more Broodlords on the way. Against an army like this, you can actually just go up to 14, 15 Broodlords and be completely fine. Get more Infestors as well. Ultralisk, obviously a good answer. Infestor Ultralisk is such a powerful combination that can honestly do God's work in this type of time. And as long as there's Ultras and Links on the map as well, this base is just going to get destroyed again and again and again. And once again, we do have a cancel there. Unit lost heavily in favor here of the Finnish Zerg player, who really all he needs is one more decent fight. He doesn't need a good fight. He just needs one decent fight, as Trap will not be able to rebuild. He has about 900 gas here in these geysers. He's a lot of gas in these bases, but I don't think he'll be able to take these. And now Trap is fighting with about half his army, as the Stalkers are still on the bottom side of the map. The Broodlords are not quite in position either. No Observer with this army to clean the creep is a mistake. Creep is something that always will matter. 4 Archons and an Immortal also standing still over here, as this is just a ground army with Void Rays. This is an army you can have at the 9-minute mark. And Trap has it 28 minutes and 35 seconds into the game, as he tries for the gajillion time to take this 7th base, and I don't think he's going to succeed with it. We have a bunch of Stalkers here on the bottom. These Changelings are spotting everything though for Serral. They see what's going on. This Observer and these Zealots are going to get taken out as well. And these Stalkers are kiting these Ultras. I do like that. We'll be able to get a couple of Spores as well. This would have been a great move if it had been done 15 minutes ago when Serral was struggling to get a 6th and a 7th. But at this point, the focus of Serral is just so much on those bottom side bases that I don't think he's ever really going to lose them. And Serral's army is just so much better as well. I think Trap wants to fight. That was definitely fungalable. I'm surprised we didn't see a fungal there. Big error out of Serral. Should have gotten that for sure. We'll see if Trap is going to be capable of doing anything here though. The answer so far is no. There is a burrowed Infestor. Look at it. I love this move so much. He's gonna unburrow and he's gonna get the fungal off. That was one of the most disappointing things I've seen in a long time. I really believed he was gonna get it. Now once again, Trap is moving forward, wants to go for a final push, but there's just no anti-air in this army. What do you even have, buddy? Good fungal hits everything. We'll be able to kill 4 Archons here for free. We're gonna see another fungal, completely missing. Parasitic Bomb kind of hitting the right side here. I mean, these Broodlords can just fight. I'm not quite sure why Serral is so keen on moving back all the time. I guess he does have Spores and he doesn't really want to win the game, but many other Zerg would have jumped on this opportunity to try and instantly win. Now we have Lynx and Ultralisk once again pushing back this Stalker force. Trap is freaking dead. He's down 20k, and the amount of bases that both players will be able to mine from is going to be even, which means, well, Trap's gonna need to get some really good fights, but I just don't think it's possible with this mediocre army. Look how bad this army looks. There's a lot of Stalkers. The only problem perhaps is that there's 26 Corruptors, and if all of these Broodlords go down, that perhaps with a Zealot reinforcements, is it possible? I don't think it is actually. Blinding Clouds being used, Corruptors still being able to take out this Mothership as well. Broodlords semi-staying alive. What is the remax going to be here for Serral? I don't think it really matters. He can remax on Roaches if he wants to. He can remax on Mass Muta. He can remax on 10 Broodlords. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. One more Infestor on the way as well. 5k, 4k still in the bank for Serral as he's maxed out. 700 and 140 gas for Trap while he's on 115 supply. Zealots is indeed the reinforcements that he went for. But at this point there's going to be more Broodlords than Stalkers. And these 3 Broodlords won't even be able to get taken out. Let alone the next 10 that are showing up. Here Trap sees the Broodlords and will need to tap out. There is nothing left for him. He can maybe snipe a base with the Immortals, but the Immortal will have to pay a big price for that. Mainly their life. Not so immortal after all. Fungal Man is coming in, but rather than fungling, just sacrifices his life for ire. Born in the wrong race. Oh, wanted to fight with his Protoss brothers. 18 workers are going down. We have another Ling run by. I mean, this is you're allowed to leave the game before it truly ends, Trap. You don't need to wait for all your buildings to die, as Trap is coming to terms with his big loss against Serral, who once again shows that he indeed is the supreme overlord when it comes to the late game in PvZ. Obviously, in my opinion, the greatest ZVP player at the moment. And when it comes to late game, definitely the greatest ZVP player. Such a solid late game player, extremely patient, extremely solid control-wise. He is truly the best. Takes out the base, and Trap will tap out with 51 supply, no bank, and 193 supply for Serral. Alright, that's going to be it for today. I hope you all had a buzz-in and great time. And we'll see you all next time for a new video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.